wanna talk about sports. They need a resource where they can come talk about sports. They really be talk, but we know the facts. Stacks, yeah, that's where it's at. We the hottest on the map. And this is our take on. This is our take on, yeah. They need a resource. We got you, just make up the choice. Who out here making that noise? This our take on sports. This is our take on. This is our take on. This is our take on. This is our take on sports.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. He is your host, Mr. MP80Baby.
And that is your host, Mr. GPG.
And welcome to
our Take on Sports.
On this podcast, man, we keep you in tune with all the latest information that's going on in the sports world. We never waste no time on this show. We sure ain't going to do it right now. We're going to dive right in, man, because we had the event of the weekend jump off yesterday. It was the Super Bowl, nephew, and the Philadelphia Eagles ended up getting that victory 40-22, and it wasn't even that close. That score is definitely not telling of what the game was down. MP, what did you think of that surprising Super Bowl?
Man, it was a butt whooping. That's what I think. I was expecting Patrick Mahomes, and everybody know I've been talking about KC all dang on week, the last 2 weeks. I said, matter of fact, already I said KC looked like it was gonna win, and they offense on paper, they look like they can do some things, but truly, you got to see in that body that Philadelphia contained, all them big boys on that line. I think a lot of people underestimated Philadelphia's offensive line and defensive line because although they didn't run the ball well, they really protected Jalen Hurts most of that dang on game. So big up. I mean, it was a blowout, and I don't know if it tarnished Patrick Mahomes' legacy or put Jalen Hurts in a topic of a conversation on where he belongs. So, I mean, I'm interested to see, how this affects both careers. I mean, it was a good game. At the end of the game, it looks like you kind of saw with Kansas City. Kansas City looked like Kansas City. It was like they waited until 5 minutes left in the game to kind of unleash their offense. I don't know what happened, but that's what I saw.
When you can get pressure on the quarterback, when you just rush it 4, that's the recipe to win the game right there. And that's exactly what I saw. I saw Jalen Hurts not be under pressure, and I saw Patrick Mahomes under pressure all game long. I mean, it just seemed like, first of all, they couldn't run the ball, and I knew they weren't going to be able to run the ball. You know what I mean? I figured the only way that Kansas City was going to be able to win this game is if Patrick Mahomes ended up throwing for 300-400 yards, you know what I mean, and willing his team to a victory. But Patrick Mahomes' stats, 21-32, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 6 times with a QBR of 11.4 and a passer rating of 95.4. Man, Patrick Mahomes probably played the worst game that I've seen him play in his career.
His line, though, I mean, the line did not participate. It was like they were still down there at the parade listening to some jazz down in New Orleans. I don't know. They didn't show up to play. I mean, he was on the run. I mean, like you said, I mean, I don't understand. He had to run. He looked like old Patrick running for his life again, and that's a sad tale. Like you said, my big thing though is everybody thought your boy was gonna get out there, Saquon, and he was just gonna have this breakout game, and they did. I think they concentrated too much on Saquon and not enough on that dang on wide receiver. You still got AJ Brown back there. You still got Smith. I mean, them boys is bad, and they showed up. But one kid that I did like on Kansas City was Worthy. I mean, the boy did catch the ball 8 times. He had 157 reception yards, and 2 touchdowns. The boy had an outstanding catch in the back of the end zone. A deep pass from Patrick had to be like 50-something yard pass. It was beautiful, right in the bread basket. And if you didn't see it, I'm gonna roll the tape.
Defensive line down a little bit.
Here's Worthy, who breaks a tackle. He's got great speed. He's got a first down. Their second of the game. Here's Mahomes. Loaded up. Got to take a shot. Has Worthy open. He's got it. Worthy, a big play.
You still want to go down here and deliver in the last 15 minutes of this game.
Pressure from Brandon Graham. Mahomes racing away from him. Throws on the run across his body. It is caught for the touchdown.
Johnson on the coverage. And a great job by Worthy. They obviously have a great dynasty.
Here's Worthy. He's got another first down to the 42. Mahomes still in the game. Back to throw. Loading up. Going to take a shot for Worthy. Deep down the field. He's got it.
Xavier Worthy, that's that dude that I believe is going to be Patrick Mahomes' #1 receiver. You see that catch that MP just showed y'all? I mean, that was one of the greatest catches, that's going to go down in that game for Kansas City. But Jalen Hurts, and he was just too much. 17-22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. And he ran the ball. He used his legs. You know what I mean? He had 11 carries for 72 yards. Yeah. So I was happy to see that because Saquon wasn't able to, penetrate. I knew they was going to be, they was going to be so heavy to stop Saquon. They was going to be focused because, stop Saquon. That was what they said was the recipe. Stop Saquon, you stop Philly. Mm-hmm. But you see Jalen Hurts and the receivers, they showed out. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown combined for 7 catches, 112 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So they ended up doing their thing too. They didn't have breakout outstanding numbers individually, but they did enough to win that game, man.
Yeah, it was a big ups to Jalen Hurts. He did show out, man. Like you said, he, when he had to use his legs, he used them. And, he did his thing. Big up, man. Y'all finally got that ring. It was nice to see it, man. Eventually, they was going to do it, man. We just didn't see it happening. Like, it was a blowout all the way until, third quarter. I mean, it was a blowout. So, I mean, I was ready to do a show at halftime. I was like, the game is over. So, I mean, I guess I lost my bet.
Yeah, man. We know we didn't really make it official, but we did kind of make it official because I'm definitely was going to wear that Atlanta gear if, if Philly lost, and now that Philly won, so I'll be sending you that Packers shirt that I expect you to have on opening day next year. Now.
Hey, man, I had to do respect. Ain't nothing but respect. I honored the dang gonna bet, man. So if you send it, man, I have it on. Mad.
But let me ask you this. Now, before the game, they were saying that if Patrick Mahomes win this game, that he's going to be in the GOAT conversation with Tom Brady. He's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks. They're going to start making, moving Tom Brady to the side, and Patrick going to take over now that he lost this game.
Right.
Is Patrick Mahomes still in the GOAT conversation?
Why wouldn't he be? I mean, the boy do got 3 rings, right? So the thing of the matter is you had to, he was about to do something no other quarterback done. So we all have to respect that, even though he didn't do it. I mean, Tom Brady had a chance to do it. He wasn't able to do it. Troy Aikman had a chance to do it. They didn't do it. Other quarterbacks have had chances to win that 3-peat, and weren't able to do it. But the thing of the matter, Patrick Mahomes is young. It's the way he marched that team, the way he leads that team, and what that team believes in him. And we all see it. I mean, they went through the season with 17 wins. I mean, and then was running through the playoffs. We have to see what he's doing. I mean, if he's not, he might not be the #1 GOAT right now, but he's definitely in that topic. 3 rings. He was about to win 3 in a row. And we can't say he might not come back and win next year. I mean, we watched Tom Brady win, 7 in his 20-something year career. And this dude is still young, man. I mean, he's still young.
Hey, he took a 10-year drought too. Tom Brady did, in between victories. Winning those Super Bowls. So I'm going to definitely say that he is definitely still in the GOAT conversation. I will never not put him out just because of this one, Super Bowl loss. Now two, that he had with Tampa Bay when he took that loss to Tom Brady and them a few years back. But like you said, I don't believe this loss takes him out of the GOAT conversation because I believe he's still got a lot of years left in him. I think that the one thing that everybody is forgetting is Mr. Joe Montana. Joe Montana is 4-0, in Super Bowls with a combined 1,142 passing yards in those 4 Super Bowls, 11 touchdowns, and no interceptions in 4 Super Bowls. I think we're forgetting about Mr. Joe Montana, man. We can't just dismiss what he did, especially in the big game, and just sit here and say what Patrick and Tom Brady did. So I'm going to say all 3 of them. He's still in the GOAT conversation, but we cannot forget about Mr. Joe Montana.
And I agree with you, Joe Montana, man. He was a bad boy. He had some weapons. And he did, he did do his thing. And I hate how his career ended. I think he played a little long. Steve Young did his thing as well. We can go down the list. But the thing is, Patrick Mahomes only entered the NFL in 2017. He's only been in the league 7-8 years. So he done won 3 rings already within his 7-year career. We got to say, come on, man. That's almost like a 50% ratio on, whether or not he's gonna win the big game, and that's not even say when he went and lost. You see what I'm saying? So this is another time that he went and lost. What is this? 5 Super Bowls that he gonna win to?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's start there. That's 5 Super Bowls that this kid went to since he came in the league in 2017. Now, if you looking at it like that and you want to ask if he should be in the GOAT conversation or not just because of this loss, heck yeah, he should be in the GOAT conversation without a doggone doubt because of the ratio of this kid. If you want somebody that's going to lead your team right now, if you had somebody to pick right now that's starting in the NFL as a quarterback, your franchise quarterback, who you going to pick? Most of the people should be 90% of y'all picking Patrick Mahomes.
You know what? I completely agree with you. So let's even see what they did in these Super Bowls. Okay. So Tom Brady in 10 Super Bowls, he's 7-3. He's thrown for 3,039 yards total in those 10 Super Bowls. 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes, 3-2 in 5 Super Bowls. 1,328 yards he's thrown in those 5 Super Bowls. Interceptions. So all of them got some good numbers. Patrick's interceptions is a little higher than what you want in the Super Bowls right now. But like you said, this man is young. He's got a lot of time to even get his team back there. Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Patrick Mahomes in the next 3 Super Bowls out of 5 years. So you can't count Kansas City out. Kansas City's going to always be in the running. So I'm going to give it up for Mr. Patrick Mahomes. I'm still going to say you in the GOAT conversation. Right now, we'll just table it, because of what happened yesterday. Didn't look good yesterday, man. It really didn't. But I still say you are in that GOAT conversation. But for right now, we're going to give it up for them Philadelphia Eagles that did pull out the Super Bowl victory. You know what I'm saying? They did do their thing. And I'm happy for them boys. We're going to give them a big cheer. Congratulations. But you know what? Atlanta Falcons and the Green Bay Packers coming for that throne next year, boys. So you better believe that. So, but we're going to move on, man. We're going to move on because we do got some other topics that we are going to get into. You know what I'm saying? I do want to ask you a question about some of the football, though. What did Jalen Hurts prove to you last night with that victory?
Man, you know what? Jalen Hurts showed me that he's resilient. And, he had a lot of people talking, real bad trash about him, even though they were still winning. So what Jalen Hurts has showed me is, he just not his character on the field, but his character off the field, dealing with social media, just new media, old media, and all that, and not allowing even the teammates, because, it seemed like at one time he was losing the locker room, and, his team, the whole morale was going down. You had wide receivers talking about. So overall, I believe that Jalen Hurts have proved that he can and that he is determined to, constantly upgrade, level up, and not allow herself to be selling out. So I believe that he showed that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league right now, and you need to fear him going forward. You keep him with some weapons, you keep him with an offensive line like he got this year, them big boys, and they all sitting up in there squatting like he do. I believe they can run it again. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I want the Falcons and Green Bay to be up in that dog too, but them boys got some big boys on that offensive line and that defensive line. So, if they can keep that team together, they'll be all right. But Jalen Hurts have showed his character on the field, off the field, that he is who he is, and I like him. So, I think he's in the top, tier of the quarterbacks to me.
I can't agree with you more. I can't agree with you more, nephew. I mean, all he does is win. All he does is win. His coach came out and said it, and he's proven it. Yes, he took that loss a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, but most of the time in his career, if you look at his career numbers, all Jalen Hurts does is win. Mm-hmm. He's won when he was at Oklahoma. He won when he was at Alabama. He came right into Philadelphia, took Carson Wentz's job. He took his team to a Super Bowl early. They took that loss. Yes, they did, to Patrick Mahomes now, but they came right back yesterday and they avenged it. And they did it with a blowout fashion. What Jalen Hurts proved to me is that they could stop trying to put all these other quarterbacks ahead of him. They can stop trying to put the Joe Burrows. They can stop trying to put the Josh Allens and all these other quarterbacks ahead of him. You know what I'm saying? They want to hold on to what Joe Burrow did to Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship years ago, but that was years ago. They're going to have to stop trying to put these other quarterbacks ahead of him. Now, don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson, MVP, I probably will say he's ahead of him. Josh Allen, and Patrick, I'm going to put some quarterbacks ahead of him, but I'm not going to keep putting quarterbacks like Dak Prescott or Jared Goff or CJ Stroud. I'm not putting these quarterbacks ahead of Jalen Hurts. They can stop that. Conversation is dead. This man is a Super Bowl champion. He's a Super Bowl MVP right now. And right now, all we can do is give him his flowers. And that's what I'm going to do from here on out. He was nephew, he's my keeper in fantasy. That's my fantasy quarterback. I refuse to let him go. Every year, he's going to be my keeper. And last night, to me, he just proved to the world that you guys, all the doubters and the haters, y'all can stop talking all that stuff. You can stop trying to come up with reasons to not make this man one of the best quarterbacks in the league, because he is. And that's just what it is. That's my opinion.
I agree with you 100%. And I would dang gonna start him on my team. I mean, regardless of the fact, the boy can throw the ball, he can run the ball. You're right. Just because he's not getting the accolades that other quarterbacks is getting, like Josh Allen, and like you said, Lamar, he showed, like I said, he has great character on the field and off the field. And, you can't get that everywhere today.
His team ain't built like that. Like, Cincinnati is built to throw the ball and Joe Burrow throw 50 times. You know what I'm saying? That's not how Philadelphia is built. Joe Burrow is probably going to get 44,000 to 5,000 yards every year because of the way they're built. They're built to pass the ball with Jamar Chase and Higgins and all the weapons that they've had throughout the years. The Philadelphia Eagles are a run-first team. A run-first team, and then they pass the ball. You know what I'm saying? So because this man doesn't have the big MVP numbers that everybody in the world want him to put up, shoot, I'll take the W over all the numbers any day, no matter how you get it. If he gets it by running the ball and using his legs like he did a little bit yesterday, he outran Saquon yesterday. So if he has to do it that way, he can get it done. If he has to beat you with his arm, he can get it done. I just take the win, period. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm happy about. So I'm putting him up there in that big enchilada with the top quarterbacks, and that's where he's gonna stay until his play decline. Until then, that's where he's at with me. But let me ask you this. With that being said, the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions, and we all know what happened to Super Bowl teams. They end up losing players, once the Super Bowl is over and all that is all said and done. With the Philadelphia Eagles losing their offensive coordinator, it sounds like Kellen Moore is going to take that New Orleans Saints head coaching job. And what's going to happen in your opinion, with the Philadelphia Eagles next year?
It's definitely gonna hit them. Just a change. I mean, getting a new offensive coordinator that's going to change the whole scheme. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, it could definitely hurt them. We definitely going to see. But I mean, overall, I mean, if they keep the same structure, I believe they'll be favorites to win it all. I mean, I'm looking at it. They got the odds. I mean, they plus 625 to win the Super Bowl next year. So I mean, their odds is better than everybody else, and that's including Kansas City. So I mean, we'll definitely have to see what their schedule look like come next year, to see what they path. So we'll have to see. Normally the Super Bowl champs, they would have the hardest schedule sometimes. So
2 years ago, they went to the Super Bowl. Their offense coordinator was Shane Steichen. They went to the Super Bowl. They lose Shane Steichen. They replace him with Kellen Moore. They go back to the Super Bowl. They're going to lose Kellen Moore. They're going to replace him with another offensive coordinator. I don't think it stops them.
Yes, right.
I don't. I think they're going to go right back to where they are. I think they're still going to be a powerhouse team. I don't believe that just because they change coordinators. And don't get me wrong, offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators are big. They really are. They're important to their team's success. I just don't think that it's going to affect them too much. I think the Philadelphia Eagles still going to do their thing, even because they ain't changing offense. They ain't changing head coaches. You know what I mean? They still keeping their head coach. So he going to still say, hey, run Saquon. Get him behind that offensive line. Get Jalen out the pocket. Roll him out and let him hit Devontae Smith on the sideline. Throw it deep to A.J. Brown. He's still going to do the same things. You know what I'm saying? So even though they changed offensive coordinators, I still expect Philly to still be a powerhouse team. That defense ain't going nowhere. Boy, that defense is real, nephew. And they're going to be something to watch next year, man. With that being said, the big thing, man, Kendrick Lamar and the halftime show. Kendrick Lamar put on a nice little show, in some people's opinion. Some people think it was the worst show in Super Bowl history. Some people giving it up for him. What is your take on the halftime show with Kendrick Lamar?
I favor the people who didn't like it. I mean, I really didn't like it. I'm so used to the Super Bowl halftime shows being so spectacular, so much going on. It's not like a concert. It's more like, some entertainer putting on, a big, festival thing. I believe it was just mediocre. That's what I feel. It was plain, man. I mean, it was just plain to me. It was very simple and plain. That's what I'm gonna say. So, I mean, like I said, his songs is what they are. I mean, it was cool, but the performance, it was plain.
Everybody got their opinions on it, man, and I respect yours. That's for sure. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was too bad. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a little different with Samuel coming out as Uncle Sam. I thought that Serena being up there crip walking, doing her thing. Everybody know that her and Drake had their little thing back in the day. I didn't even know that Drake and SZA had a little thing, back in the day until I heard that earlier, and then she come out there doing All the Stars, with Kendrick and I don't know, man, the red, white, and blue, the game, it was more a shot at Drake trying
exactly. And the thing of the matter is we here for sports, not politics. And you come out there. We want, the world was watching. We want to be entertained. We don't want to see you. I mean, you've been doing that. That's all you've been doing that for the last few months, just going at Drake. I mean, I didn't want to see that right then. I wanted to be entertained, and you taking a shot at somebody. That's not. I mean, you just not entertaining me.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a while now, man. Now they got the courts and lawsuits and all this stuff involved, man. On our take on sports, man, we never get into the politics and stuff like that, man. We try to leave that out for the other people to talk about on this show. We just basically keep it sports. That's all we want to do. You know what I mean? Every now and then we may put our opinions on certain other topics. But all that political stuff that's going on with Drake and Kendrick, man, that's for y'all to decide and for y'all to talk about, man. We don't get out like that on this show. Some people like the performance, some people don't. It was all right. Big ups to Kendrick. You know, we'll see who's the performer next year. But there is something else that I wanted to bring to your attention. You know, before the Super Bowl, they had the NFL Honors Show on, you know, a week ago. And the NFL Honors, if anybody don't know, you know, it's the award ceremony. You know, it's like the Grammys for the NFL players and stuff like that. And they hand out the awards. You know, they handed out a whole bunch of awards. I'm not going to get into all the awards they handed out. We will talk about a few of them, you know, MVP, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Offensive Player of the Year. Josh Allen. Josh Allen won the MVP of the year. What is your take? Should he have won it or should it have gone to somebody else?
I dang on right he should have won it. He deserved it. I mean, the boy had an incredible season, and we know that he made a team, you know, with wide receivers that did nobody think he was going to do anything with, and cooked, and they thought they dogged everybody this season. So I mean, the man did good. I mean, you can't take that from him. I mean, he was consistent. He just can't get past Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's just simple as that. I mean, we said that on the show. I believe he deserved it. I mean, you know, Lamar was right there, but doggone, you know, Lamar had a good season, but I believe Lamar should have had a better season because of everything that you have said that they have given him, that you have said throughout every episode, you know, during the season. What all they don't gave Lamar should have had a tremendous in the far. His career should have went. I mean, this season should have went farther. He could have did so much more with a dog that he had. I believe that Lamar Jackson had way more weapons than Josh Allen did. So Josh Allen definitely deserved the doggone MVP of the league.
Okay. I will agree with you on the point that he did have more weapons than Josh Allen did. That's for sure. I believe that. I believe that Zay Flowers and Bateman and, of course, King Henry, you know, provided a lot of weapons that Buffalo didn't have. You know, they did end up getting Amari Cooper a little later on in the season, which really didn't do too much for Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? I thought it'd be a little bit, give Josh a number one. And he did have a good running back in James Cook. The numbers for Josh weren't as good as Lamar's. So I did kind of slightly lean towards Lamar's being the MVP again, in my opinion. But I think the reason why Josh got it is because of who he beat. I believe you. I agree with you on that. It's because of who he beat, nephew. He ended up beating the Detroit Lions when they were hot, and Detroit. He beat Kansas City and stopped that undefeated streak, you know, when they came out to Buffalo. Even though this is a regular season award, we're not talking about what happened to him in the postseason. So with that being said, and some of the big victories, even though they lost to the Rams, they put up some numbers in that game. You know, Josh clowned in that game. So I'm not mad that Josh did get it because he did lose a lot of weapons and nobody expected him to take his team to, you know, the AFC Championship game, you know, but he did it. He did it, and big ups to Josh Allen. You got that MVP, boy. Now it's time to chase that other one. You know what I'm talking about.
You got to get past Patrick Mahomes first. You see what it takes to get past Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely. Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year was won by Mr. Kevin O'Connell for the Minnesota Vikings. Do you think Mr. Kevin O'Connell should have won that or should have went to someone else?
Kevin O'Connell did his thing this year, man. You know, I believe they got it right. I mean, he lost his quarterback early in the year. They had a scheme to, you know, within the preseason, OTAs and all that offseason, you know, going in because they drafted who they wanted to doggone lead their team. They built their team around this young man that they felt that was going to come in and do his thing. So, you know, JJ got hurt. That let Sam Darnold come in, and Sam Darnold took advantage of it. Now, we didn't know what Sam Darnold was going to get, but you knowing that you lost your starting quarterback, right? And you got to change the whole scheme. Yeah, I like what he did. You can't take nothing from him. You can't take nothing from him. So yeah, I think he deserved Coach of the Year.
I completely disagree with you. I completely disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Dan Campbell for the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, should have been Coach of the Year. And I'm going to tell you why. Dan Campbell did beat Kevin O'Connell twice this year. One of them was for the #1 seed. The biggest thing for the division, for the #1 seed, Dan Campbell beat him. Dan Campbell had 18 people on the defensive end on injured reserve and lost all those players on the defensive end, including his best player, Aiden Hutchinson. Didn't lose a beat. Dan Campbell lost his what they call it, the knuckles, the sonic of knuckles. He lost the knuckles. And David Montgomery, his running back, when everybody thought that he was going to be out for the year, which, later on, everybody thought that was going to hurt Detroit, but it didn't. Detroit and Dan Campbell, in my opinion, should have been the Coach of the Year. And because he beat Kevin O'Connell twice in the regular season. And one of them was for the biggest game of the year, for the division and for the #1 seed. So in my take, I think it should have been Dan Campbell.
I mean, I completely understand what you're saying on that aspect. I mean, you got to understand, Minnesota did, they did, do their thing too. I mean, they played some hell of a games too and went and got W's, you know what I'm saying? And again, he got it with a backup quarterback that nobody believed in. I mean, Sam Darnold had been being bounced around, JJ go down. So, I mean, you have to change the aspect. I'm not taking that from Dan. He did do his thing with Detroit. And, turning that team around the way he has, and they having the success for 2 years, I definitely agree. But your boy lost the quarterback 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. And, he's able to keep that team sustained. I believe that hold a little bit more weight.
I can see where you're coming from, with the J.J. McCarthy injury that they had earlier in the year. And, having to throw Sam Darnold in there, didn't expect him to be the starter. I mean, I do understand that aspect of it. I just had to give it to the coach that beat him, man. I just had to we talk about the injury to J.J. McCarthy, but the Detroit Lions had injuries up the butt, man. You know what I'm saying? They really did. And they still ended up getting the #1 seed. Nobody expected them to get the #1 seed, in the NFC, and they did it. They did it. If everything had worked out the way they wanted to, the road to the Super Bowl was going to go through them. Unfortunately, they did end up losing that game to Washington, and their Super Bowl dreams was shattered right then. But the man did coach his butt off with all the injuries. So congratulations to Kevin O'Connell. Both of those coaches did do their thing. You got your opinion on it. I got mine. It doesn't really matter because Kevin O'Connell got it. So my opinion really don't matter. Anyway, Defensive Player of the Year went to Mr. Patrick Surtain of the Denver Broncos. Do you think they got that right?
Shoot, man. I mean, the dude was a stud. It was other studs in the league. I mean, so you can look at it all type of ways. I mean, I don't know how close it was with him winning and everything, but shoot, he did have a good year. So I believe that, yeah, they got it right. I believe they got it right.
It's pretty tough. I don't have a argument with it. I did think that with Trey Hendrickson over there in Cincinnati leading the league in sacks, I think that might hold a little bit more weight, for him. But Zach Bond for the middle linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles, he was a candidate. He could have been the Defensive Player of the Year. But I ain't mad at him for giving it to Patrick Surtain, man. That boy's a shutdown corner, man. He's locking down one side of the field. He had the Denver Broncos, defense playing well pretty much all year, and he was one of the big catalysts of it. And they played all pretty good up until they got to the playoffs, and then they act like they didn't know how to play no defense no more. So I'll give it up for Mr. Patrick Surtain. I ain't got a problem with that one, man. And the last one, Offensive Player of the Year, went to Mr. Saquon Barkley. Tell me, You got a problem with that one? Or should that one have went to somebody else like Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson?
I believe they got that one right. I mean, Saquon had to win. He had to win one of them awards, and you know, the things that he done this year. I mean, you know, he made running backs who has retired jump up out their seats. So I believe definitely they got that right. I mean, big ups for Saquon leaving New York City, going to their rival over to the Eagles. Got a whole bunch of backlash for doing that, and winning the Super Bowl the following year. So I mean, you know, that's a dream come true. A lot of people is not able to go to another team and actually win the Super Bowl that same year. So big ups to Saquon. No, they got it right.
I completely agree with you. They got it right, man. Saquon Barkley could have been the MVP. You know what I'm saying? He could have really been the MVP of the NFL. I mean, what with Josh Allen's numbers being this and with Lamar's numbers being this and being so tight, they could have said, you know what, bump this. Let's give it to a running back. We ain't give it to a running back in years since I think Terrell Davis or something like that was the last MVP. They could have gave it to Saquon, and that would have been fine with me. But you definitely got to give him Offensive Player of the Year, man. You know what I mean? So big ups to Saquon Barkley.
Yes.
That's a bad boy, man. That's a bad boy.
Man, like I said, you definitely got to give him his kudos because, you know, a lot of people was riding him for leaving New York, the Giants, going over in the same division. We was talking about that about Myles Garrett, and I said he should go on over to Baltimore. He was like, man, Cleveland would be crazy if they traded him in the same division to your rival. And you see that what the Giants did. This dude went straight on over to Philly, which I'm letting you know it can be done. Went straight over to Philly and won a Super Bowl. So, man, big ups, man. And that
he wasn't traded though. He wasn't traded.
Yeah,
they let him go test the market.
Right. That's right, and that's what happens. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he did. Of course, it wasn't trade, but they could have prevented. They could have prevented that from happening because they had.
The Giants are stupid for letting that boy out the building.
Exactly.
You remember the hard knocks conversation, and you remember what the owner said? I'm gonna have a real tough time sleeping if Saquon Barkley goes to Philly.
That's right,
man. He done went to Philly and won a Super Bowl. Man, this dude's still alive. I hope he ain't commit suicide or something like that. If I was him, I'd be ready to kill that general manager that let Saquon out the building. Though I sure hope that dude ain't employed by the Philadelphia Eagles no more. I really do, man.
Hey, man.
This dude, come on. You know this dude should not have no job, man, after what he just let Saquon go to.
I agree. And you know, hey, it happens, so we know it can happen, and that's how it be, man. We're gonna end this take of this one, episode 27 on the Super Bowl take. We hope y'all enjoyed. We got less than a minute left, so we're gonna go ahead and give it to y'all like that. We hope you enjoyed this show. Like always, comment, let us know what y'all think about it. Give us y'all take on what we saying and whatnot. We're going to try to get some things together where we can do a live show. We constantly upgrading our system and everything, but we do appreciate the views and we see them going up. So thank you for supporting us. Like always, though, that's your host right there, Mr. GPG.
And that's your host right there, Mr. MP80Baby.
And this is
our take on sports.
Wow. Let's catch y'all.
Peace.
AMP, what they talking about? They talking about what? They talking about sports. Oh, really? Well, this is all. Out on the field, the ball on no courts. They wanna talk about sports. They need a resource where they can come talk about sports. They really be talk, but we know the facts. Stacks, yeah, that's where it's at. We the hottest on the map. This is take on. This is take on. Yeah. They need a resource. We got you, just make up the choice. Who out here making that noise? This our take on sports. This is take on. This is take on. This is take on. This is take on sports.